Welcome to Therapy from Inside Out. My name is Azadeh and I am a psychotherapist here in Los Angeles. Today I have a very, very special guest. Her name is Lorraine, and 3 years ago, Lorraine attended her high school reunion. She was extremely excited because she could hang out with her white friends under one roof. And this was absolutely mind-blowing for me because I thought segregation ended 1964. You don't want to miss this. So Lorraine, welcome.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background?
Hi, well, I'm Lorraine James. I was born in Natchez, Mississippi, and moved out here when after graduating high school in 1988. And later I got married in 2006 to a wonderful, wonderful man. Later, had kids, had a blended family. Now I have grandchildren, so I'm just loving life here in California.
So Lorraine, what is it that you do?
Oh, I'm a night nurse. I'm a newborn specialist. I specialize in sleep training babies and, from 0 to 4 months of age. So the mommies can sleep through the night. Some babies come with problems and some are just a glorified babysitter.
Well, I don't know about you glorified. You're definitely a baby whisperer. That's what I've heard, and you're amazing at it. Whoever get to have your services are so blessed to have you around, and I feel really excited about you wanting to sit down with me, so thank you so much. So I want to go back to back when you grew up in Mississippi. Can you tell me how was it to kind of go to school, and what was it like to go into high school as a black girl with other white students?
School was fine. School was normal. It was all normal. We got along. We were all in the same class. We had friends. I had white friends, and we ran track together.
Were your white friends, were they allowed to come to your house? Did you guys have play dates?
Rarely we would hang out. We would always hang out by the Burger King or the McDonald's sometime, and we'll intermingle at that point. But no, not really. We didn't go to each other's houses. That was a rare occasion.
Is it because, did you go over to your black friends' houses, or that was play dates were not a thing back then?
Yeah, well, we associated with our friends, that's in our neighborhood, and my mom was rather strict, so I had a really good girlfriend that was living like in Linwood neighborhood, and I wasn't allowed to go to her house, nor was she allowed to go to mine because we were younger and we didn't have transportation. And so we just saw each other at school, and that's how that was.
Was this friend, was she white or was she black?
She was black.
She was black. Did you have any close friends like that were white?
I had tons, but it was always school-based. Mm-hmm. Always school-based. I got along with everyone, but it was always school-based, So that's why I was so excited to see them once, this 30-year reunion. Hadn't seen them in 30 years. So that was so excited.
So why were you so excited, other than obviously seeing and hanging out and reminiscing all the memories of kind of your childhood? What was it that was different this time, 2018, versus back in 1988?
Well, in 1988, we had some differences. A lot of my friends found it astounding that in 1988, we had separate proms, black prom, white prom. In 1988, we had separate baccalaureate service before graduation. When they went to the white church, we went to the black church. And they found that astounding. You know, we tried to intermingle, and it's much like nowadays. It's much like now. It's what the child is taught, and it's from the adult. The child wants to be friends, but the adult wouldn't allow it. So the adults didn't allow the proms to intermingle. We tried very hard. Our class president, awesome girl, she's a really good friend of mine, tried really, really hard to intermingle our proms at least, because we're friends on campus. We're friends playing basketball, running track, football, baseball, all these things we're friends in, and we're on the same team, but it wasn't allowed for us to attend the same prom nor the same baccalaureate services. So I was excited to go home and see my friends, where we'll all be in this reunion together. And we did we had a night where it was like our prom again, with all of us partying together. It was awesome.
Yeah, of course, because now you guys can to share that experience together in the same space. So tell me, who were the one who didn't allow it? Was it administration, parents?
It was parents. It was parents that didn't allow it. So
was it white parents or black parents who didn't want this to be involved?
The white parents. The black kids would fundraise. We would do different things to raise our money for prom, whereas the white kids were donated by their parents for whatever they needed. It was donated by different businesses of their well-off parents. And when the head of our committee went to the head of their committee to try and join to make this happen, the parents heard about it, and the white parents heard about it and shut it down, said no, that they'll stop the funding, because every class would leave something as their legacy. We did the moniker for our school. Our class of 88, the black kids, we worked on the moniker for our school. And I think they were doing, the white kids, they were leaving the air conditioning system or something. That's what they were leaving with their name on it. So they wanted to pull that away if these things didn't happen. So you could go ahead and do it, but we won't do X and thus. So when it came to that, we just said, we're still friends and it's okay. And some of the jocks still came over to the prom anyway. So it was really cool.
Oh, that's...
They wasn't not allowed. No one was there to block them from the door saying you can't come. It wasn't that type of situation. It was just respect boundaries. Like if you say no is no. You know, even in my high school, the black stayed on one side and the white stayed on the other. You had a few intermingling blacks that intermingled on this side. The white side would go and eat there. Not very many intermingle, maybe say 20, would intermingle. But that's just how it was. Same with the teachers. The teachers would eat on one side of the table in the back of the lunchroom, and the white teachers eat on the other side. Very rarely you'll see one sitting by each other, and it just wasn't, it was understood. I think they could sit anywhere they wanted to sit, but that's how it was. It was an understood thing, and we didn't fight against it, to say go and do it differently. So the year that, in 1988, because we were trying to do this, it got in the papers by the NAACP. It hit the papers, the article concerning this.
What was it that you guys were not it seems like they say, of course you're allowed, but they made it so uncomfortable, or they put up so much resistance, threatening to take away privilege, that you said, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not going to
that information. They didn't let that part out.
Yes.
That part came down to the principal as a no. But the reason behind it, we went to that person and it was like, you guys still want to pursue this because this is what's going to happen. We're not going to get our funding. We're not going to be able to leave our legacy. We're not going to be able to do these things. And we kind of like bowed out, kind of like, okay, well, whatever. That's how it ended. But during this time, it leaked to the NAACP. And they did an article about the separatism. They didn't realize that it was separate like that. So
who are they? The media? Is it the media?
Yes, the NAACP wasn't aware that it was so separate in our high school. Mm-hmm. So when they became aware of it, things happened. I think they changed it for 88, 90. Yes, mm-hmm. I think 89. Yes, 90. Class of 90 was totally. It was none of that. Everything went away when by that time. So, and it sparked something because it ended the separate.
Yes, because it should have ended long time ago. It should end.
I agree.
Everywhere else were being integrating both races together under the same roof. So they were way behind. So
we realize it now.
I'm sorry?
I realize it now, but it was my norm. It was normal for me to, it was normal for this to happen.
Lorraine, let me cut you here. What was normal for you? Because it saddened me to hear that you saying, this was normal. This was my normal. I didn't know any better. What was it that was so normal?
It was the same way for my brothers, same way for my sisters. It was the same way for me. So it was like I was stuck in a pattern of normal. I didn't, you wake up, you get yourself dressed, you go to school, so, and it was normal. That was my normal path. I did not know that this was like so wrong until later when we start trying to get it to change. Joy, that's when my eyes were open. Like, this really shouldn't be. Before then, before we wanted it to happen, I said, okay, that's fine. So we thought it would just happen. And my good friend said, no, Lorraine, we have to, it can't happen that way. It just can't, we just do it. And so we start going to the powers that be, and that's when it all unfolds.
So you guys, the class of 1988 changed the future of that school, so then students could experience and sit with their classmates or do all the things that they kind of should be doing that was normal around other places, that you guys kind of introduced that or started that for them.
Right. Because our school life, you sit wherever you wanted to sit in the classroom. It wasn't a problem in the classroom. It wasn't a separatism in the classroom. It was normal, just like you would go to any school. It would, whereas here's one brown child, one black child, one white child. It makes no difference. Sit where you want to sit in the classroom. But it just was a difference in the lunch area. Ironically, it was a difference there, and it was a difference in the major events, meaning our prom, mainly our prom and our baccalaureate service were white and black. And, one, you may always have one that's like, oh, I'm going anyway. So like this time, when we went home for our reunion, our reunion is spent a day of picnicking. We have a day of fellowshipping, getting to know each other. Then we have a day of doing a picnic. And then that night we party, have a party at some establishment. And that Sunday we go to church for those that don't have an early flight or got to leave. So it was a conversation as to where are we going. It was a conversation, say, okay, where are we going? And so it said, oh, well, some went one place and some went another. But I went with my family because my entire family was home during this time. And we had a memorial thing for my mom. So I was obligated to go with them. And, but I was told that they were received so warmly and it was so welcoming and it was so wonderful, you know, because we went to the white church, so to speak, you know, for our reunion, and it was wonderful and we was well received.
That makes me happy to hear that among yourselves that there were no hostility or no racism. Basically seemed like it didn't exist.
No, we had some. There was some that was little. We had some that were like a little ruder than others that made it obvious. You know, now that I'm an adult and look back on it, you know, it was like wasn't very nice. You know,
such as, tell me, because what is it? You are a extremely sweet person and you have a very kind soul, so you always see the kindness in people. So when you say that it was uncomfortable, that some people said, what were those things? Can you
they'll call you the N-word.
They would call you the N-word.
You would have some that were mean-spirited. That's what I mean by being mean-spirited, and would say it openly and meant it with so much aggression, but not a lot, honestly.
And what did you do when you heard that? What did you do? What were you taught to do?
Oh, my mother taught me not to respond. She said, you don't respond to negativity. You know, she said, don't respond to that. You know, it's not what they call you, it's who you answer to, what you answer to. So that's what I was taught. That you don't have to answer. Keep going. Keep walking.
Did it hurt you?
I wasn't, it was like, it made me disappointed because it was like, why do you have to do that? You know, it was like, it was just disappointing, like, what, really? You know, but because we were all the same age and all those things, but you know, it's you live and you learn kind of deal, you know, and that's what I teach my kids. You know, just be respectful, you know, but it's not, you know, what your call is, who you answer to. Yeah.
And did they get expelled from school? Did they get any punishment for? No.
It was just like saying cow. You cow.
Oh, it's very normal.
Very normal, you know, and it was just, but it wasn't often. It's not like our campus was just going around saying N-word. This was one experience of mine, you know, that I experienced it at school with one of the students. You know, I was kind of a no tolerance type person in school. I didn't take too much off of nobody, but it's like, and I loved everyone. I was senior class favorite, one of them, you know, and it was fun for me, but it was disappointing to know that happened, you know, from this person. Like, you didn't have that to do, you know?
Of course, because when there is one person that says that, you don't know what others are thinking, because obviously nobody's expressing, nobody's standing up, nobody's doing anything. Everybody's looking the other way and just moving on with what they have to do. Did your brothers, did they experience it too? Did they have a different experience from what
they have many different experience living. They're older than me. They're much older than I am, and they have many, many different experiences. To listen to their stories, it saddens me. You know, it totally saddens me. But thank God it wasn't my experience. You know, my experience was love and harmony with my white classmates, with my white friends. We loved each other. We played basketball together. We did everything together. We, in school, and some we did hang together once we, our lives were kind of full with school, after school activities. Then it's like go to sleep, repeat, So, we really loved each other. So once we saw them, it was like, it was like running, to each other. Hi, where have you been? It was awesome. It was just awesome to see, and everyone looks like their dad did during that time, especially the guys.
Yeah.
When I saw them years back, now they look like their dad, So it was really cool.
Lorraine, tell me, so this was the school. Now I want to shift over and talk more about how was it to grow up back then in Mississippi. How was the society? How was it to go to the grocery store, go to church, go do your daily stuff? Did you experience any racism, any discrimination?
No, not particularly. Not for me. I was very sheltered. My mother sheltered me a lot.
What do you mean when you say shelter? So you were not allowed to go to the grocery store?
No,
buy stuff?
Grocery stores, but it's like if someone were to say something, my mom was very swift to take care of the situation, or say something or handle the situation. If someone were to say, like, call us a name or something, we're coming out of the grocery store and it's, my mom was like, she'll respond to me and tell me that, this is not the way things should be done or whatever, or she'll say, that wasn't very nice of you to say that. She'll handle it. So I didn't have to do it on my own. And when I got old enough to drive and go to the grocery store, I didn't experience like racism on that level. I didn't experience it. Everyone was fine. Some snobby people, some people would say ugly things, use the N-word, but I wasn't deterred by it. I didn't allow it to affect me. And, but for the most part, I lived harmonious among them. I didn't have a problem. Some of my friends were, really good friends of mine. They were white. We would see each other. We didn't go to each other's home, or even when I would start to drive, I didn't go to their homes, because my mom didn't allow me to go there. Wasn't allowed.
You were allowed to go over to your friend's house that were black?
Yes.
How come you were allowed to go to your friend's house that were black, but not home to the white?
I only if my mom spoke to their parent. If my mom spoke to their parent, it wouldn't have been a problem. But I never I never did it. I never say, Mom, can I go and
do you think that was coming from a place of fear and of the unknown? What's going to happen to my little girl if she goes over to a white person's house?
I don't know. I never asked, and she never, God rest her soul, can't ask her now, but I never asked. And it's like, it wasn't, I don't know. It just wasn't something that I did. It's like, I don't know. I just never did.
So it seems like that your mom, I want to call her Mama Bear, was kind of always protecting you. So you weren't, even if you were exposed to that racism, she diffused it in a way that it didn't affect you, and affect your self-esteem and affect your mental health and emotional health.
Right.
I want to commend her for that, because it's very hard when you are facing and when you are with your child out and about, and you are facing racism, and not to engage in it, and instead taking the high road and showing your child what a great example that you can be.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching. You can catch the second part of this interview next week. Until then, stay safe and stay kind.